Good morning, everyone. Welcome along to this Tuesday morning's talk. Thank you very much for the Cyber Fringe, I should say Cyber Quarter, in sponsoring the Cyber Fringe Festival. For those of you not familiar with the Remo platform, we're currently in stage mode. This will be where the talks are presented from. The key way, and all your table conversations and your chat, that's now gone to mute. At the end of the talk, you'll actually be returned to the table and the people you are sitting with, as you were just a second ago. If you look up your top right, you can see there's the chat, the participants listing, and also the Q&A. Inside the Q&A is where you can place your questions. And if you need to get in contact with any of the participants, myself or the delegate, should say the speaker, then that's where you can send a chat messages through to them, or even click on the icon to have a look at their profile. The call is being, I should say the chat is being recorded and will be available after the event. The key thing to note is that the speaker and actually the host will be available for a short period of time after this talk in the lounge. So the lounge were the spaces to either side of all the tables, and you'll see up to your top right when you go back to table view that there's the Mātiti people lounge. So it's now my pleasure to actually introduce onto the stage the host for today's talk, Charul Jaitly. She's the co-founder and managing partner for Mātiti Group, who partner with Kinetic 6 here in the UK. From our point of view, the reason we really like Mātiti Group is they've actually got a very neat fusion training platform and methodology, and I can highly recommend following up with them on that. We have no financial vested interest in it. It's something we like and use, so just so you understand the position we're coming from on that. I'll be available in the background. I'll help with the moderation parts, and it's now a pleasure to hand over to yourself, Charul.
Thank you so much. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Today, I'm delighted to introduce you to our keynote speaker, Faisal Mohammad Ali Al-Shimmari. So Faisal served as a public safety and law enforcement officer, and he's an SME for over 25 years with vast experience in the fields of strategy, governance, risk management, digital transformation, business continuity, crisis management, and the list goes on. Faisal has provided very creative and smart solutions during his service in Abu Dhabi Police, the headquarters as CISO, also in the Ministry of Interior here in UAE as the IT Governance Director, and the Abu Dhabi Police College as the AI instructor. Faisal is an instructor in the Professional Diploma Program for the Excellence at Hamdan bin Mohammad Smart University, and he's also an accredited trainer in the UAE government knowledge transfer program sponsored by the Prime Minister's office here in UAE. Faisal is also the founder and chairman of Emirates Child Protection Association and is the CEO of Digital Research Technologies. Today, Faisal will share his insights on the UAE's cybersecurity transformation, with the focus on how digital security works as an enabler to enhancing smart government competitiveness. So with that, I will hand the floor over to Faisal, and he will share his insights on this very interesting topic this morning. Over to you, Faisal.
Thank you, Sharon. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I will share the screen in a second. The UAE cybersecurity transformation, digital security as an enabler to enhancing smart government competitiveness. Cybercrime statistics internationally and cybercrime statistics in the UAE, there is always a difference between government statistics and corporate statistics. When it comes to companies who are in charge of antiviruses and spyware and other softwares, they always tend to increase the number of the financial impact, which is realistically speaking understood, because the loss is not what direct loss can be. In 2017, Norton Cybersecurity Insight Report highlighted numbers of credit and debit card fraud and other kind of crimes and financial loss caused by cyber attacks. The most common cybercrime experiences in the UAE: credit fraud, falling for technical support scam, data breach, compromised account password, responding to a scam, shopping online, making a purchase online that turned out to be a scam, putting software on someone else's device to spy. Recently, remote working and remote education caused other types of crime after COVID-19 epidemic, and it also multiplied the losses related to social network account loss or fraud, and such kinds of reports have increased significantly. A risk of employees and institution: well, the more you rely on a system, the more you are vulnerable, and the weakest link in any system is the staff themselves, the employees. Big attention should be paid for cyber attacks, for the serious and important impact of the institution we deal with, and with remote work, the vulnerability multiply. If we look at the history of smart government in the UAE and Ministry of Interior, in 2013, His Excellency, His Highness Sheikh Mohammad bin Rashid announced the Electronic Government Initiative, and then it evolved into smart government, creating a smart services index in June 2014, and then the competitiveness measure on an international level started to be taking place. In 2017, we were the 29th and 8th. In 2018, we reached the 6th, and in 2020, we went back to the 8th, which reflects that the development is continuous, and we are not the only one who's trying hard to reach the ambitious vision of our leadership in 2021 to be ranked first in smart government and smart services. The enablement of the government are complex, and it come in different streams in parallel. There is a UAE Fourth Industrial Revolution strategy. There is a national agenda. There is the UAE Centennial 2071, and there is the government accelerators. There is the AI strategy. There is the blockchain strategy, and there is the UAE strategy for future foresight and Emirates digital transactions strategy. This comes in hand in hand with UAE cybersecurity strategy and also local strategies. Why? The UAE is a federal government, so we have local governments and federal government, and saying so, it's like looking at different Emirates collaborating all together in a combined effort, aiming at achieving excellence on an international scale. The waves are aiming at reaching 2030 ambitious roadmap. It has wave 1, quick wins, quick wins, and then wave 1 and wave 2, and then wave 3. Hopefully by wave 3, we will reach more than 75% of the services executed by RPA, robotic process automation, and AI. And of course, this comes hand in hand with the rapid increasing risk, because as much as we are developing and we are trying to be innovative, the risks are multiplying on an exponential factor. And saying this, it comes hand in hand with the exploitation of technology to increase crimes. For example, deepfake, we can look at utilizing AI to orchestrate distributed denial of service attacks. We can look at critical infrastructure attacks related to smart cities. So the more we are dependent on systems and technology, we will face risks and challenges. The National Cybersecurity Strategy comes hand in hand with local similar strategies, and the KPIs are very similar. The UAE cybersecurity ecosystem have an opportunity of 1.8 billion market in the UAE, and there is 18 billion cybersecurity market in MENA region. Some of those numbers might multiply more. Why? Due to the lesson learned from COVID-19, there is currently a governance executive committee chaired by His Excellency Sultan Al Jaber. He's a minister and at the same time a CEO of ADNOC Group. And the committee that he chairs is in charge of assessing and auditing government entities' readiness to lesson learned from COVID-19, which includes cybersecurity and remote work. National Cybersecurity Strategy, Pillars and Goals, establishing a robust national cyber incident response plan to enable swift and coordinated response. Also protecting critical assets of the UAE in these 9 sectors: energy, ICT, government, electricity and water, finance and insurance, emergency services, health services, transportation, food and agriculture. Mobilizing the whole ecosystems through local and global partnership to jointly achieve cybersecurity goals and ambitions. And this could include public sector, private sector, academia, and international consortium. Some might ask, what food and agriculture can be related to cybersecurity? Well, the UAE is adopting rapidly agri-tech technologies here in the UAE to address food and water scarcity. And there is a ministry, 2 ministries, in fact, in charge of this portfolio. And the utilization of IoT, hydroponics, and agri-tech is increasing. So the vulnerability to cyber attacks is also increasing. The UAE blockchain strategy was something announced in April 2018 with a mandate to achieve 50% transactions on blockchain by April 2021. And His Highness Sheikh Mohammad bin Rashid amended that the UAE must reform the strategy to address COVID-19 lesson learned. Another area that is highly enforcing a more robust and resilient approach towards cyber challenges is the Prime Minister's Decree number 27 for 2020 about working remotely in the federal government, the guidelines related to business continuity after COVID-19, which also address the same topic, the guideline from the Federal Human Resources Authority about remote work, and the guideline to work remotely for the IT director from Telecommunication Regulation Authority. In addition, the government is enhancing and developing the assessments and the KPI measures related to the Smart Government Program, which was updated in April 2020, related to assessing smart government services and remote working. And if we look at the excellence model, which was launched this year, we can see 15% of the services of the mark is related to the next generation services, which is predictive, and intelligent enablement or digital enablement, 10%, which relates to digital transformation, cybersecurity, AI, and blockchain. And then if we look here, there is another 5% related to data and knowledge management, which talks about big data, smart data, open data, etc. Such KPIs and such government reformation is definitely guided and governed by several models. The excellence model itself is adopting the 4th generation of excellence, and GEM 2.0 was launched recently, which ensure innovation, agility, and predictability is in place, and government entities must follow such stream. There are several reports that is being presented to the cabinet, including but not limited to the KPIs on smart government, the KPIs on cybersecurity, and appointing a cybersecurity CEO on a federal level is another evidence that the government is adopting a semi-corporate approach to ensure the resilience and things are in place to achieve the competitiveness level that the government is seeking. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Faisal. That was very, very conversations. I might have a question to get the discussion going, if I may. So
Yes.
you spoke about the fourth generation excellence model 2.0, right?
Yes.
So there is a criteria which you mentioned called digital enablement, right? Now, part of it includes.
There is an echo. Repeat.
Yeah. So I was asking about the criteria called digital enablement, right? In that, it includes risk management and security and other important areas related to data. So how cybersecurity consultants, like external consultants, can aid government entities to achieve the excellence? Is privacy a concern or not? With your exposure, with your interaction with the governments and the offices here in UAE, how do you think that can be addressed or enabled? What are your thoughts on that?
Achieving excellence is a matter of continuous effort. You can achieve excellence today and lose it in less than a few months. It's a practice, it's a commitment, it's a model of life. Continuous learning is definitely an approach combined with innovation, changing the culture of work. You need to adopt innovation and you need to adopt benchmarking. If you see a good practice done somewhere else, you shouldn't be shy from learning. Some excellent examples of very smart services, innovative services that we've seen are coming from third world countries. There is no shame in learning from others. We are all in a learning curve, and learning curve starts from the cradle to the grave. We shouldn't stop. This is one. Two, when it comes to cybersecurity, every day there is hundreds and hundreds of vulnerabilities being exposed, some being exploited and some being highlighted. Of course, there is a marketing side where companies are highlighting where their capability or their experience is. But combining excellence with cybersecurity, I think is a very wise approach. Usually cybercrime face charges in court, but we don't see people who are doing excellent job being awarded or appreciated unless it's part of an excellence culture. And the Prime Minister's office in the UAE achieved such competitiveness approach by accrediting and giving appraisal to those who are leading the other government entities when it comes to excellence. If we look at the new model, the 2.0 model in the fourth generation government excellence, it's more and more into smart government. The European EFQM was into adopting electronic services and electronic government as a component part of الموارد والشراكات, which is resources and partnership. It was a sub-component. Now in the UAE, they developed the generation and it became several criteria with several acknowledgement to certain aspects. Next generation services will create a leap in the government services in the UAE, where it aims to take us from top 6 or top 10 to top 3. And reaching the inner circle of excellence in government services will not only ensure the happiness of the public, but also it will increase the tendency and the trend of others aiming at living in the UAE or benefiting from the mature platform in government services that we are having here.
Great, Faisal. Thank you so much for that. We have another question from a participant here, and they're asking, has open data improved security or made it more vulnerable? Has open data improved the security or made it more vulnerable?
Well, data governance and data enterprise architecture or data architecture is something relatively new. I'm not saying it's relatively new worldwide, but adopting enterprise architecture is definitely will achieve digital maturity. Abu Dhabi government or Abu Dhabi digital government is very advanced in that area, and adopting best practices within the region or within the same country is a trend, and there is a huge efforts happening in that area. Open data is a government, is a United Nations initiative that started to aid in closing the digital divide and helping designing more enhanced services. Combining several fields of data will definitely cause a breach of privacy, but I think old methods of recording files and data on papers proven that it's also a huge vulnerability that can be lost or can be copied. So yeah, data is it's a learning curve. HIPAA law, Health Information Privacy Act, or Information Privacy Act in other countries in America, UK, or others, came after records have been breached and leaked into the media. And this is, it didn't happen in the UAE in the same level or extent, but we are trying to learn from incidents happening elsewhere.
And what is your thought on penetration testing and similar services which are delivered by third party or relevant government entities? Is it okay to show your dirty laundry to a third party? What are your thoughts?
Well, of course, building an internal team is always preferable, but you cannot rely on an internal team. You need a red team and blue team sometimes. You need a third party who have well experience. In addition, you need to do proper vetting to make sure that those people who you are putting yourself exposed to them are trusted enough not to leak the information they received and not to sell it to someone else. And this is the dilemma of ethics in cybersecurity. People are talking about ethics in AI. Well, let's go back to basics. Ethics in smart government, ethics in government services, ethics in penetration testing, and ethical hacking is a concern.
Another question is very interesting. Obviously, it's James, and he acknowledges the strategy, and he says very great and impressive strategy. But he's going to put his focus on the skill gap. Do you have a skills gap, or do we have a skills gap here in UAE, and how do we address that gap?
There is a skill gap worldwide. We cannot claim it's only in the UAE. The UAE population is blessed with 85–86% expats. So compared to other countries, we are in a much better situation than other nations who have an issue dealing with expats or dealing with multicultural. The UAE is proud to be a multicultural society, and we have staff working in government, semi-government, and private sector from all nationalities. There is more nationalities in the UAE than the UN. We have more than 206 nationalities in the UAE. The UN has 100, Interpol has 190.
Thank you so much.
If I go back to the skill thing, it's a challenge. The government is trying to address, not only by changing the titles of the jobs in the HR system, but also in education and in training and in a professional curriculum development roadmaps.
Thank you so much for that, Faisal. And just we'll take one last question. And here it talks about how is blockchain being used for government process security and data integrity? How do ethics play into this agenda? And that's a question from Hugo. So over to you, Faisal.
Well, let's start with ethics. AI in Dubai Smart Government, they created some sort of a policy related to AI ethics when it comes to what kind of utilization of AI we can have in place. I'll give an example. If someone goes to a grocery shop and uses Visa and buy, and he have one of those loyalty cards, and at the same time he used the same credit card with the same credentials to book a hotel room or something, if such access to the big data and those commercial purchasing habits is available to an individual, he can profile the behavior of a certain individual, and he could end up blackmailing him. With big data and AI and the accessibility to huge commercial databases that is being sold all over around, with no ethics, no regulation, no fines, and no governance, we will end up with several blackmail cases happening, increasing by the capability of analyzing big data. When we talk about blockchain, well, there is one of the challenges in a federal government or any government. Who's the custodian and the owner of the data? In blockchain, you can exchange the data while you still possess the ownership. And the process in a secure environment and manner can happen in between, resulting in a better utilization of data to deliver a service. So let's say you need someone's credential and you need someone's, let's say, real estate records to do a transaction of selling, renting, or whatever. You cannot keep a record of all the government data in one pool. No single entity. A singularity is a disaster. It will cause a huge loss if something happens or something wrong happens or there was an update. Let's say an individual died and a single entity was relying on the data that they have, and someone came and claimed with the credentials that he's this person who died. He can sell the property, he can do whatever he wants if it was a singular pool of data in that entity. With the Emirates Pass, which is a smart way of managing government services, government entities are communicating with each other in a better, secure manner. And I think this is a mature leap towards cross-agency data exchange and integrated services, which is a baseline for next generation services.
Great and very detailed answer. Thank you so much for that, Faisal. I'm going to quickly look. One more question, since we have the luxury of some time. What is your opinion on cyber insurance in Middle East, Faisal?
Insurance in general in the Middle East needs to be revamped completely. I hope no one is from the insurance industry is here, but you guys are making billions and losing it somewhere else and then blaming us on high fees. I'm speaking as an individual. Charges of insurance are still high. Services needs to be developed. And this is one of the reasons why the government moved the insurance authority from being an independent entity under the central bank, which is a leap in services. Insurance is a financial service. If they look at themselves as a regulator or the one who decide, I don't agree with that. I believe the government move to merge the insurance authority, the central bank will shake the insurance industry and make it more compliant with better regulation and at the same time delivering better services. And I believe banks and insurance can go hand in hand because at the end, they are investing the money somewhere. Let's hope they invest it in the right place.
What a witty and direct answer. Thank you for your candidness, Faisal. With that, we'll wrap the conversation on the topic here on the stage, but everybody is welcome to join us in the lounge, our Mātiti lounge or Kinetic 6 lounge. And Faisal will be here with us for some more time, and the leadership team from both the companies is here. So join us there. I'm also very delighted to announce we launched our new SOC platform called Heimdall 365, and the link to access the product and its portfolio is in the chat, the general chat. You'll find it there. We've also left you a small presentation on the Cyber Fusion training, which Hugo at the start of the conversation pointed towards. So all the information is there. We also have our info email address there if you wish to get in touch. But over to you, Hugo, and Faisal, we'll see you in the lounge. Thank you so much for your insights, and what a great discussion. Thank you.